welcome. I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. Walking now in this beautiful landscape around me, I feel the warmth of the sun finally arriving today, and I think about that sheep resting and in his arms, not striving. The sheep is not providing anything, it's just simply being carried. And I realized that image has been quietly correcting me this month. Today is such a bright, clear day, and that feels quite steady in its own way, after such a long winter. And there's something grounding about moving through the sunlight instead of just waiting for the perfect weather conditions. And I think this mirrors exactly this whole past month for me. I've been feeling really open, but not unsure, just kind of aware of what's moving inside of me, and that awareness is quietly shaped in the way that I approached this last portrait of Yeshua that I did this last month. If you follow me, you know that last month I shared a little bit in the last bit of the video, in the last vlog, that there were some rough seasons in my life going on, and moments that left me feeling quite exposed. And even now I feel that clarity. It's like not a harsh season of life, but it's a very, very honest one. When we are painting, time disappears, right? That's always the case. It just slips away as you work every day in the studio. And the creativity that then used to come and go before for me is now moving really, really fast, because of this urgency of trying to work full time. Creativity doesn't leave space to wait for inspiration these days. There's no more pausing to feel a certain way, and the distractions have to be forcibly set aside. And still there's room to notice life, but this requires so much discipline that I had to integrate. But like I said, there's going to be room always to notice life and embrace the people around you.
E quando chegava ali às quartas-feiras, o Sr. João estava lá para me vir trazer e eu ia para a escola e a Dona Rosa era um leite chocolatado.
My old camera.
Bye-bye. But we should let the world carry on as we carry on as well, if that makes sense. Mas isto não é normal, pois não?
Não, são marotos. São os marotos que querem
Quem é que acha?
Tu veste o pano por cima, depois...
I almost didn't film today, thinking maybe it would feel too bright. This is not a very good cinematic bright light today. And the light is just too open, But stepping outside my house, it really felt right. And I wanted to share this with you. The best things are the ones with no performance, not a polished version, as usually tend to do. You know, I'm a perfectionist, but I'm trying to make these vlogs more about sharing the process and my thought process for paintings. You know, sharing everything as it goes with reflections. And for this one, for this portrait, I felt like today was just right to share all the movement that this brought into being. And that's where I think devotion comes in very strongly, you know, in this continuous showing up, you know, making the work and relentlessly and living with it, even when things are absolutely chaotic around you. I think this is what it's all about in the end. There were times this past month when things got really rough, you know, really rough, and it felt like I was at the end of a rope. And then I realized, wow, look at this, there's not even a rope anymore. All that was, at that moment, all there was, at least for me, was Yeshua and the Holy Spirit. Like, just showing the way, the truth, and the life, and steady and quiet, you know, like a presence that wasn't demanding attention, but it was always there, guiding, patiently holding, and just keeping me moving forward.
Okay, I mean, that's what Jesus said. Closer to God. That's good. It's fine.
When I began this month's painting, it wasn't dramatic. I was in the studio creating the stretcher bars from scratch. You know, as you could see in the last vlog, I measured, I cut, I fitted the wood together. You know, giving me an opportunity to feel this so important, this tactile experience, how each piece had to hold tension for such a large canvas. And this process is very humbling in a way, and it really grounded me. I felt like there was something honest about starting the structure before any image, before any symbolism. And I'm really happy about being able to create my own wood now, you know, just stay independent, because as you can see where I live, I don't really have access to this kind of service in a large offer. There are benefits and negatives to everything, right? When I started sketching him, the Yeshua and the sheep, I wasn't really thinking about making any statement. I just kept returning to these very central hands and the way they support without gripping, you know, the way strength can exist without aggression. And that image just felt really natural, you know, really easy to create. It felt like something was already there, imprinted. You know, it's a funny thing, because if you follow me on Instagram, sometimes I share part of the process, right? And the reference of these hands started with me holding a camera back. And then it translated into the canvas. This is what I really love about painting. It's this stance between realism and making things a little bit more tight and disciplined, and then the completely lost in the abstraction, the lost values, the lost edges, the lost everything, you know. The expressionism of your soul imprinted into that canvas. And this conversation is something I really admire and value. The tradition and the expression don't need to cancel each other. I believe they enrich each other when they are approached with respect and awareness. As you can see in my studio sessions, I do paint really quickly, but the gold leaf around the halo really required me to slow down in a different way. Gold responds to even your breathing. It responds to stillness and even the smallest movement of air. So I always approach it with care, acknowledging the long lineage of artists who used gold leaf to represent and signify holiness and the divine light in art and throughout history. And in my own shy way, I wanted to stand inside that tradition and speak through it, not against it, if that makes sense. Some evenings the electricity would cut out. As you know, it happens all the time in my village. Light is out. And my studio would fall into complete darkness. But I learned that instead of stopping, I would just light candles and continue. And I noticed that the gold under the candlelight is very different, and it has life in a quiet way. And in those moments, those unexpected moments where we think, oh no, there's no electricity, so what are we gonna do? And that's exactly in those moments, that they feel steady if we just notice, if we notice things around us, and see them as opportunities for a new perspective. As I let that understanding settle more and more with the final layers of glaze, they became part of the same rhythm, and that I've been moving in the last weeks. Like when I step back from the finished piece, which is never finished, as you know, but there comes a moment when you're like, let's move on. But I felt something different. I wasn't happy or proud. I felt something more quiet, like a gratitude feeling, gratitude that through the most complex season of my life, I could stay devoted to the work. That openness didn't stop me from creating. Instead, it just deepened my intentions. Thank you so much for walking with me today, for being present over there, especially in a moment that feels like really exposed, more than usual. Sharing art is always extremely vulnerable. So be kind to artists. If this portrait of Yeshua speaks to you in any way, I would truly love to hear what it stirred in your heart. So see you in color, my friends. Until next time, take good care.